Hi everybody, it's my pleasure to be with you today at DrosAfrica virtual meeting on October 13. And I'm going to give a talk on the role of Center of Excellence in fostering scientific research in Africa. With you, Mohamed Salem, Professor of Immunology and Director of Center of Excellence in Cancer Research, Tanta University, Egypt. The agenda of my talk is just three parts. The first one is about research needs and research team. The second part will be research capacity in Africa in general and the funding bodies for this research capacity. And the last part will be on success stories from Tanta University. Before I start my talk, I would like to just give highlight on research outputs in general. From any institutes, we need, of course, publications, and this would lead to patents. And by the end of research cycles, hopefully we can go to the market for marketing these patents. And everybody is looking for or keen for competitiveness with other groups or other research teams in other institutes in country or global in regional area or global competitiveness. And of course, this would lead to internationalization. However, competitiveness or internationalization, which is our aim, with the need for publication, patents, and the marketing, it needs, of course, some research needs. And one of the most important, as I'm going to focus on, is Center of Excellence. Research needs for anybody working on research. It needs to generate knowledge, and of course, generating knowledge needs behind a kind of leadership. Generating knowledge, acquiring and generating knowledge is a cycle. It needs skills, and skills need communication with other bodies, either nationally and internationally or internationally. It needs expertise in the research team, in the institute, with specific skills, either intellectual skills or technical skills. And of course, it needs capacity building. Capacity building here, it means center of excellence in research. To have center of excellence in research, CER, it needs projects, it needs budget. And when you are talking about budget, it means projects. So this cycle, actually, we need to put in our attention the how to get to build or establish CER, a Center of Excellence in Research. Without Center of Research, it's hard to give or to acquire and generate knowledge and go through competitiveness and internationalization. So my focus here is how to get in your institute, in your research team, CER, to be able to stand on strong foot. Actually, I'm not going to talk much about research team, but just to highlight the types of research teams start from intradisciplinary, then multidisciplinary, and then cross-disciplinary, and then interdisciplinary, and by the end of the day, if the research team is lucky, can go to transdisciplinary, which is more advanced kind of networking and collaboration between the research team. The beauty of trans or advantage of having transdisciplinary team is that you can generate knowledge and science in cutting edge research, I mean, because you have individuals in your research team from different backgrounds, from physics, biology, even literature, engineering, and agriculture. So you have all minds with you. So you can generate, you can ask whatever question is, and then you can answer by different minds. This is the advantage of transdisciplinary. It's hard to, in most of institutes, most of the type of research team is multidisciplinary, actually. And luckily, if you are lucky enough, you can also be interdisciplinary. At least you need to start as multidisciplinary, and then you can move into interdisciplinary, and maybe later on you can move into transdisciplinary if you have bigger, wide research team, and you have research centers, and you have different projects, and you have budget, you have. So at this point you can work at the level of transdisciplinary, but you need to start at least with multidisciplinary research team. So I'm going back to Center of Excellence in Research and the importance of that. So one approach to accomplish the generation and the maintenance of transdisciplinary research is through establishing a Center of Excellence in Research, which should have the core facilities, of course, required for such aim. So it's not just a building or not just a few equipments, small equipments. No, you need to have a vision with a certain state-of-art equipments, which should be a kind of core facility, expensive, but can serve different kinds of research team, not only your research team, but other research team as well. Talking about CER in Africa, unfortunately, a few CER cover the gap between basic biological sciences and the translational biomedical sciences. The already funded centers, as well as founding new centers, could be a new platform to cover this gap. And this is what I consider as a must to have these days in all African countries, to have not just one or two. No, we need to have network of CR with different disciplines in each country. This center should focus on interdisciplinary studies and then go to transdisciplinary studies. Of course, if we have CER, it means we have cutting edge research, we have state-of-art equipments, we have skillful researchers, we have vision, we have mission, we have aims, we have budget. So the CER will lead to scientific publication in this case, with paramount significance to the advancement of cutting edge research. And this is the main aim, actually. Making a network for CER in Africa is a must for to strengthen the scientific collaboration in biomedical research. Of course, to combat pandemic disease right now, like COVID-19 and the other tropical disease, CER can be a platform to collaborate, for African scientists to collaborate together to combat pandemic disease, not in any country in Africa. One of actually approach to or pathway to build a center of excellence, as you can see here, is ACE, which is African Higher Education Center of Excellence Project. They have Center of Excellence Project in collaboration with African Union universities, with AFD, with World Bank Group. And I'll show you how these kinds of organizations they collaborated together to establish different center of excellence in Africa. The Center of Excellence project by African Higher Education, its objective is to improve the quality, quantity, and development impact of postgraduate education in selected universities through regional specialization and collaboration. ACA project will support the recipient countries to promote regional specialization among participating universities in thematic areas they define, of course, that address regional challenges and strengthen the capacities of these universities to deliver quality training, not only research, but also training and applied research, which is very good, actually, to have such kind of entity in Africa, which devote a lot of budget to establish center of excellence as well as training. That's wonderful, and actually I didn't know about that. I just did some homework before I give this talk like a week ago, and I found certain kind of organization, institutes which focus just on establishing CER in Africa, not anywhere else. That's very good, actually, to know, and I urge everybody to go for these websites and how to think about how to get benefit from these bodies. As you can see here on the African Union of Universities, they have this project, Africa Center of Excellence project, within science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, health science and agriculture sciences, phase 1 for West and Central Africa. And this is a website if you want to go visit this center, visit this project call, and it covers most of the scientific area, as you can. These are some examples of CER established by ACE, Center of Excellence project. Training, the over 1,500 university lecturers received training under the ACE project. They established different center of excellence with very generous grant and with collaboration with very prestigious bodies. So that's very good. And as I told you, it's first time to know about that project. And most of this CR actually is very prestigious, and they are equipped very well. You can see here also the Africa Center of Excellence, and this is a project which was instituted in 2013, 7 years ago, by the government of Burkina Faso, Republic of Benin, Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, Togo, and Senegal, with support from the World Bank. The project was initiated to promote regional specialization amongst universities in participating in these countries within the West and Central African sub-region to address common regional development challenges and strengthen their capacities to deliver high-quality research, which I found very, very generous and very focused. These are examples. I think they are 4, 8, 11 projects, and these are examples of the CER established by this project in Pan-African Materials Institute, in phytomedicine, in agriculture development and sustainable environment driven, ICT-driven knowledge park, genomics of infectious disease, neglected tropical disease and forensic biotechnology, center in dryland agriculture, centers in reproductive health innovation, center in dryland agriculture, center for food technology and research. So such kind of research centers, center of excellence in built by Africa Center of Excellence is very, very good. I went over each of these and I found they are very, very well established and well equipped centers. I was astonished also that they have German academic exchange service. They have a very specific project for helping African excellence to advance African science by establishing a Center of African Excellence. And that was very good to know also. The DAD help African universities establish Center of Excellence, improve the quality of the education they provide, and increase their research capacities, thus enabling future decision makers in Africa to be trained in line with the international standards. And this is very generous and focused project to be funded by a foreign entity like and prestigious entity like DAD. The objectives of this project by DAD is to create centers that are internationally competitive on, of course, a sustainable basis and thus publicly visible. The second objective is to improve the functioning of socially relevant sectors in African countries as a result of activities performed by graduates in their role as a decision makers. So you consider here graduates as a decision maker. These are the two main objectives beyond this project by DAD. And this slide you can see some, and the next slide too, you can see some kind of CR established by the DAD, like Onion German Center of Excellence for Development Studies, Congolese German Center of Excellence for Microfinance, and so on. You will see, if you go to the website of this project, you will find the list of these centers, which I found some of them are very specific in language or in nature this slide too, you will see different kind of center in education and law, in environment, in sustainable rural transformation, in integrative local development. Another organization which helped in establishing Center of Excellence in Africa is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, and this also was something new for me to know that they have very specific project for centers of excellence in Africa and in Asian regions. Here I found in news that in University World News that they announced 24 centers of excellence for East and Southern Africa, and this was funded by the World Bank groups. There are 4 excellence centers, each for Ethiopia, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Uganda. 3 for Kenya, 2 each for Malawi and Zambia, and 1 for Mozambique, under the project being coordinated and administered by the Inter-University Council for East Africa, based on Uganda, which is, I found also is very good opportunities for these countries to be engaged in research by Center of Excellence. Another academy in Africa, which helps also in science in general and capacity building specifically, is the African Academy of Science. And this will be there will be a talk by Professor uh, Abdul Ati, because he's actually one of the responsible for African Academy of Science. But if you go to the website of this academy, you will find a lot of opportunities for research, technology, for training, for fellowship. And this is very rich, scientifically rich academy, which I urge everybody, every researcher in Africa to get benefit from this one. The vision of African Academy of Science is to recognizing excellence in science through three main pathways: prestigious fellowship and award schemes, providing advisory and think tank function for shaping Africa science, technology, innovation, strategies and policies, and implementing KSTI programs addressing Africa's development challenge through setting funding and program for accelerating excellence in science in Africa, which I do respect very much. I give you some background on the association, organization, institutes, and other pathways that help to build and establish CR in Africa and what they have done so far, which was very generous. But of course, we need more. Talking about what is going on in Egypt as one of the African countries, I'll give you some highlight on this. CR projects in Egypt is mostly funded by STDF, Science, Technology and Development Fund. And this was established in from like 13 years ago in 2007, but now is with three projects now, or three kind of projects. Nowadays they have more than 35 type of project. But talking about capacity building project and capacity building for Center of Excellence, they have three kind of project: equipment projects, which fund fund about 10 million Egyptian pound, CER projects, which is double of this budget, 20 million, and the accreditation projects, which is also 20 million. And Egypt, this is something, this budget is something generous to establish or to fund the basis of your lab in using equipment project or center, CR project, and get accreditation for either the lab or the center. Myself, I applied for capacity building for CR, and I got one for each, and now I'm applying for accreditation project. I'll show you some the list of established national CR in Egypt in the last 7 years, which almost like 30 center of excellence, but about 15 or 10, I'm not sure, maybe 10 or 15 additional centers were established in the last 2 years. In this slide and the coming two slides, you will see about 30 projects. And the first one, of course, because I established this by myself, is Center of Excellence in Cancer Research at Tonta University, which is very good research center. The other centers are at the same level. So the main aim of establishing for Egyptian government, Ministry of Higher Education, to establish these centers is to advance science through having specific center of excellence in each area of research in biomedical research, in agriculture, in engineering, mostly in such kind of three areas: engineering, agriculture, and biomedical research. And the biomedical research cover different kind of biology, medicine, pharmacy, transdisciplinary like bioinformatic research. I just show you the list here in 11 of them here, and here another 10. Center on stem cell, clinical trial, genetic epidemiology, structural biology, research drug design, genetic disease, computer neurovascular biomechanics, regenerative medicine, genetic disease, and so on. Smart cities, and so on. Here is another 10. Water desalination, novel thin film solar cells, cotton grading, innovative textile, scientific cloud computing, optical fibers. Most of these 10 are in engineering, so they are distributed very well, and also distributed in universities in Egypt very well, in different area and different region. I mean, and nowadays we are working on to have a network for this 30, or I guess now is 40 or 45 centers in Egypt. Now I'll talk about our case study, success story at Tanta University, which we established through this CR system funded by STDF in Egypt. We established 3 centers, but the main one we established first is Center of Excellence in Cancer Research in the middle, and the Genetic Signature Center in the left, and then 2 years later we established Thalassemia, Delta Thalassemia Center Research Center. The 3 centers are at Tanta University, and the research team who collaborated with me to establish CCR, the same at GSC and the TTCB. So we worked very hard from 8 years ago on a roadmap. We did it by ourselves, and with a vision, mission. We had a meeting, regular meeting 7 years ago or 8 years ago, to have such kind of centers in a specific period of time, and we were able to do that actually based on our roadmap. And this means if you have a good research team, and they have vision and the mission, they have they know what they are looking for, and they have the intention, and they have the skills, they can do in 5 years. They can establish in 5 or less, actually in 5 years. We established this just in the 3 centers in 3 years, which is very good to have in 3 years, of course. The first center I'm going to talk about briefly is Center of Excellence in Cancer Research, and I worked in America for 10 years. And at that time, I working on cancer immunology, and I had a very good lab over there at Medical University of South Carolina. And my dream was to establish at least a small lab in cancer research to gather researchers at Tanta University. It comes from there when I came back from USA. We were lucky because we had at that time Tanta University Educational Hospital. It was brand new, and of course we can have this center anywhere else, but we decided to talk to the dean and the president of our university to have a place in this hospital. And We were lucky that they agreed to specify very generous labs in one area for center for CCR. Not only for CCR, we asked them, we are going to apply for another 2 or 3 center of excellence, and they give us the space in advance for the 3 centers. But we started with the CCR. This is the hospital. It's a very good hospital, and it will very well equipped, and actually it's the first time to have research labs and at hospital at Tonto University. So we were lucky actually to have this space. These are the research team. They started the project with me. I'm in the middle, Mohamed Salem. And then I have Professor Saeed Hamad, Mohamed Ramadan, Mohamed Atiyah, Abdulaziz Zidan, and research assistant Ines, Mona, Heba. And they started with us. And then, of course, we expanded our research team to include another 10 or 15 members. The Center of Excellence in Cancer Research, CCR, we started with 7 years ago. It has 5 units, core units: flow cytometry unit, cell sorting unit, cell culture unit, genomic unit, proteomic unit. And later on, when we established the other center, GSCC, we got DNA sequencing unit. So we have now these 3 core facilities unit. And in flow cytometry, we have BD-FACS Canto cytometer. In cell sorting, we have Isoflex and Max. Cell culture, we have biosafety cabinet. Genomic, we have microarray. Proteomic, we have Luminex. And DNA sequencing unit, we have MySeq. Before having the budget for this center, we didn't have any single equipment of this, which was a dream to have. The vision of CCR is to utilize omic-based, either proteomic or genomic, core facilities to lead cutting-edge translational cancer research. This was our aim at that time, and we achieved this aim by at least 75%. The mission of CCR at that time was to create a rich academic environment. This was very important for us, for excellence in cancer research, to lead the next generation of scientists and empower the discovery in cancer prognosis, diagnosis, prevention, and the treatment through efficient collaboration with national and international esteemed investigators. And to be honest, after 7 years now, or almost 6 years, I can say we achieved, we created a rich academic environment for next generation scientists, as I will show you. We published several papers, more than 30 papers. We supervised PhD and master students. We collaborated with national and international professors. We sent students to abroad and trained them. And so I believe that we are successful so far by at least 75% of our initial aim. Our initial aim for CCR is, of course, grants, publication, and patents. This the main goals. At the same time, training and outreach office for training undergrad, postgrad, or even high school students, and to generate research from bench to clinic, and to train independent and generate independent researchers, provide technical and clinical consultation for the scientific community, and perform, of course, scientific collaboration. In the coming slides, I'll show you the examples of the equipments we have, the core facilities we have at CSCR, which we didn't have before that, as I showed you a couple of slides ago. This is the flow cytometry unit. We have BDFAX Canto, which is 9 color, FDA approved. We got, of course, I'm trained well, and the other two research teams are trained well in America and for years, and UK. And then we trained different, about 3 or 4 research assistant. So we are capable to do any kind of assay, phenotypic analysis and activation and functional assays by this, and we use it also for patients because it's FDA approved. This just some examples of the application for the flow cytometer we have. Analysis of different types of solid tumors, detection of autoantibodies, analysis of leukemia and lymphoma for diagnosis or for research, detection of minimal residual disease, stem cell enumeration. We are doing such kind of application. Reticulocyte analysis, detection of immunodeficiency disease, immunophenotyping of force, which is the main assay we use, application we use. For cell sorting unit, we got isoflux system, which is the first equipment to have in Middle East. Our center is the first to have this one. This equipment enriches rare cells from biological samples. Usually we use blood or cell culture, of course, and prepare them for further analysis, either enumeration or proteomic or genomic analysis. It gives immediate access to high quality, viable cells in high density format, ready for use in the application of your choice upon you get these cells. We, of course, we use this equipment to enrich circulating tumor cells from blood of cancer patients, especially solid tumor, to correlate or to use the circulating tumor cells as a surrogate source rather than the primary tumor. Application of isoflux equipment include enumeration of rare cells, immunofluorescence, fluorescence in cytohybridization. You can use the cells also, enriched cells, for next generation sequencing, for mutation detection, for gene expression. In genomic unit, the main equipment we have as a core unit is microarray. Is a high affymetrics, of course. It's a high throughput technology that allows the detection of thousands of genes simultaneously in one sample. If you are working on transcriptome, of course, you can analyze more than 25,000 genes in one samples. In this slide, I'll show you the application of microarray genomic unit, transcriptome analysis from mRNA expression, microRNA expressions. You can work at transcriptome or microRNA, and of course splice variants. Genome structure, you can get DNA copy number, genomic variations, single nucleotide polymorphism, copy number variations, and proteome, protein-protein interactions, DNA-protein interactions, epigenetics, DNA methylation, chromatin structure. Right now, we use this machine for transcriptome, for microRNA expression and mRNA expression. We are going to work on near future in single nucleotide polymorphism and copy number variations. In this slide, I'll show you the bioanalyzer we have. It's industry standard for RNA sample quality control, and has replaced laboratory intensive gel electrophoresis for this application. It's a micro electrophoresis. So we use it for mainly for microarray analysis because it's very accurate than nanodrop. The application of bioanalyzer includes whole cells. It can work on whole cells, RNA integrity, of course, RNA qualification, small RNA sizing, DNA integrity. It can work with DNA for DNA integrity, DNA qualification. It can work on protein for protein integrity, protein qualification, and protein purity. It can work on whole cells, on RNA, DNA, and protein. And we have right now very good experience with application of this equipment. We have the basic equipments like gel documentation system, which enables simple documentation of fluorescent and non-fluorescent gels, membranes, plots, and assays with the ability to save image to disk for later quantitative analysis for enrichment of course, publication. We have also basic equipment, the MBPCR system. It's an automated instrument specifically designed for the amplification of nucleic acid using PCR process. Everybody knows about that. Okay, I showed you the genomic core facility unit. Now I'll show you the main equipment in proteomic unit, which is Luminix X200. The application of Luminix includes clinical diagnostics, clinical research, life science research, whatever samples you have from plant, from animal, from human. You can analyze proteins expression, multiplex protein expression, biosurveillance, assay development tools based on your request. It's a very nice machine. We use it mostly for cytokines, chemokines, inflammatory mediators, and HLA typing. And we found it's very good because you don't need much volume of samples, just like 25 microliter, and you can analyze more than 100 proteins in each sample. So you didn't need a lot of controls, you don't need much volume of samples, you don't need time. It's very good. And if you consider the cost effectiveness to ELISA, I believe it's good. Besides the genomic, proteomic, flow cytometry, cell sorting units, we have a basic cell culture unit. We have biosafety cabinet, BSL2, it's a very good one. We have CO2 incubator, automated. We have cooling centrifuge. This is the basic. We have another CO2 incubator. We have biosafety cabinet, but this is just in one place. We use it to culture cancer cells, to screen drugs, to culture immune cells, to do some functional assays. It's one cell culture unit, but it's very effective, and we use it in a very good way, and an organized way. So, and it's functioning very well. So it served a lot of master and PhD students, as well as staff member, faculty member at Tanta University. I showed you the most of the core facilities we have at CECR, and based on these equipments, and we have organized 3 conferences, organized 22 workshops, 8 seminars. We trained more than 120 undergrad and postgrad and faculty, and besides, of course, the high school students. We participated in 24 funded projects, and 5 submitted patents. So this is just indication of course, beside publication, of the success story you have. We supervised and also already 45 PhD students graduated, 35 master students, and their work was mostly focused on adaptive cell therapy, cancer biology, anti-cancer effects of medicinal plants, stem cell-based therapy, cancer stem cells, the role of immunoregulatory cells in cancer regulatory cells, including Treg and MDSC cells, because we are very interested in these two kinds of cells. As I told you, after we established CCR, we started to think about another center, which is Genetic Signature Cancer Center, and we submitted another project, and luckily we got it after almost 8 months of application. This center, the main equipment is MySeq for DNA sequencing. This is a center. It's in the same plan, in the same space we have for CCR. The next door is GSCC, and this is the entrance of the center. And then I'll show you some of main equipments. This biosafety cabinet, refrigerator, and so on. I'll show you quickly the main equipments in each lab. The center has 3 units: pre-PCR, PCR, and then pre-PCR, post-PCR, and then the third unit, which is DNA sequencing. This center is, we applied for accreditation, and we got the project, and now is in process to get the final accreditation of 3 tests. This is another equipment in the pre-PCR unit. Still we are in pre-PCR unit. This lab is in post-PCR unit. This is actually DNA sequencing, sequencer. Attached to our centers, we had vision to have training hall, and in this hall we train, we give lecture for training undergrad and postgrad trainee. After we got this second center, we started to think about establishing the third center, which is Delta Thalassemia Center, Control and Prevention. And we applied for this grant, and we got the after 6 years after, 6 months after submission, and we got we got it in the same space, the next door for CCR and GSCC. These are the main equipments in Thalassemia Center. Actually, this center is multi-center project, but our center is the main one, the core one, and it has another 5 partners in Cairo University, Zagazig University, another 3 universities in Egypt. So it's a very good center, and it has very specific equipments related to research in general, like automated DNA extraction, like HPLC, like cooling centrifuge, like biosafety cabinet, beside very specific equipments for thalassemia. This is biosafety cabinet BSL2 for cell culture and DNA extraction. This is another equipment for hematology. This one too, in another unit. This center actually is the main aim behind establishing this center is for public education, orientation about thalassemia, and the career screening and doing some research. Public education, including leaflets, media, seminars, conference, and the career screening, family members, secondary school students, vulnerable women, vulnerable partners, and We are working right now on something national to screen for thalassemia nationwide. In this center for screening readouts, it includes a complete blood count, hemoglobin electrophoresis, microcytosis, anemia, genetic counseling, and at the level of molecular studies, it includes patients, carrier, fetus at risk, 1 or 2 cells before pre-implantation. And then parental diagnosis, which I just talked to you about, to have national project by DNA analysis will be performed using cells obtained by chorionic villus sampling or amniocentesis, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, in vitro fertilization to create normal embryos. Actually, I had more slides to show you our activities, photos from our activities in training seminars, workshops, conference, training indoor and outdoor, and so on. But we don't have time for that, so I'll skip it. And I just want to talk about this slide, our next call for Africa. Having our 3 centers and having the other centers in Africa I showed you at the beginning of this talk, we can help a partner to establish a center of excellence in research. Whoever is thinking about that, we can help. We have the experience for writing grants, for management of projects, for selecting equipments, and so on. We can also train postgraduate students from Africa. We are happy to have transdisciplinary project with researchers from Africa. We will be more than happy to have academic supervision of master and PhD students in our centers. Of course, we can also share technology transfer, mobility between centers and universities. This is our vision based on our centers we have, and the centers already exist in Africa. And I can add to this one, hopefully we can, with the help of DrosAfrica, we can establish center of using DrosAfrica for biomedical research, and we can establish this one in Egypt or any other country. But of course in Egypt we are looking for that, because I know some of labs already exist in Africa. This is all I had for our next call, and I'll stop here. And thank you very much. And hopefully we can do something to collaborate together with the help of DrosAfrica to have a center, to establish center of excellence for DrosAfrica in biomedical research in Egypt. Hopefully we can collaborate together, you guys, through centers or on individual basis. Thank you very much.